Besides automation games, I have a deep love for survival games, whether that's sci-fi, fantasy, or even a good old-fashioned zombie game. So today I'm going to be sharing 10 plus survival games that I'm excited to check out this year, and a few that are planned for next year as well. So feel free to jump ahead using the timestamps below, and I'll also leave links to the games in the description in case you're interested in checking them out yourself. Now, I love games set in space. It's probably my favorite genre, but sci-fi in general has some wonderful depth to it. And speaking of depths, you'll be exploring the deepest oceans in Subnautica 2. Now, I played Subnautica for the first time this year and instantly fell in love with it as a timeless classic when it comes to exploration. Subnautica 2 promises to build on that first experience with the benefit of surviving with a friend, and you can bet that I'm going to be covering this on my channel when it launches. And with it expected to release later this year, I cannot wait for it. Understandably though, not everyone is a fan of the deep sea, and we couldn't get any further from that in our next game, which is Dune Awakening, which follows an alternate path where Paul Atreides was never born. Here you'll be battling it out and working with others to survive the harshest heat on Dune's planet of Arrakis. At its heart, it's a survival MMO, so you'll be depending on others whilst building bases and raiding the deep desert in a world that's constantly changing from one sandstorm to the next, and something I'm really excited to delve more into. Now, if Arrakis is too hot, then have no fear. In Rupture, a game from Creepy Jar known for their survival spectacle Green Hell, you'll be exploring a planet called Rupture, defending it from bugs reminiscent of Starship Troopers, whilst also harvesting and automating the production of resources. But do be careful, the clock is ticking in this game as the star this planet orbits regularly ruptures, scorching the planet's surface, so make sure to seek shelter or you'll be more than toasty. Now, there's nothing colder than the vacuum of space, and you'll have to get used to it in the next two games. Breathedge 2 follows its predecessor, seeing you build, craft and manage your crew whilst taking on an evil space corporation. Though it may not take on as serious an approach to survival games, you will have a hilarious adventure regardless of the perils that you face. Space Engineers 2, on the other hand, does take on a much more serious approach to survival in space. Though I personally felt its alpha release was a little too alpha for me, the recent updates have been a positive improvement and the game is shaping up nicely. If you're interested in survival in space, then you do want to keep an eye out for the survival slice of Space Engineers 2, which, if it's anything like the first game, is going to be pretty awesome. You'll have to harvest resources from planets and asteroids, refining ores and building ships, whether alone or with friends, and you can bet, as a lover of the first game and a lover of just building ships in general, I'm going to be checking out the second one as it develops. And with sci-fi survival out of the way, let's check out my 4 favorite fantasy survival games that will be releasing or receiving updates, I should say, in 2025. And first of all, it is one of my favorite games, and that's Enshrouded, a wonderful survival game where you will rise as a Flameborn, taking on the Shroud as you venture into the world. Now, you're going to recover workers out in the world who are going to aid you in your journey. You'll build fantastical bases across a selection of biomes which will aid you from the adverse weather and enemies that you'll encounter. And in this game, the further that you venture into the world, the more dangerous the encounters you will find. And with a broad selection of weapons and a quick and easy system to redistribute skill points, you're going to have hours of fun, and the next update will be focusing more on the Shroud. and I'm more than down for that. Now, if Enshrouded's crafted world doesn't quite hit the mark for you, then there is Light No Fire. Now, the devs are keeping very hush about this, but I'm hoping we're going to hear something before the end of this year. This game is set on a procedurally generated, life-sized planet that you're going to be able to explore with friends. Information, as I mentioned, is very tight-lipped on this, but you're going to be able to fly using mounts, build bases, and scavenge for food and rare resources. Who knows, maybe we'll even be able to farm, but if they achieve anything on the level of No Man's Sky, you can count me in on this, and you can bet I'll be creating content for it also. Now, unless you have been hiding under a rock for the last year, you'll probably have heard of Under a Rock. This is a procedurally open world survival game where you'll be surviving the oversized wildlife, building a shelter and taming animals so that you can use them to explore a wide and varied world. Now, this supports up to 10 players, and this could be a great one to chill with friends or even play with the family. It's planning for an early access soon, so do keep your eyes peeled for more. And one of the heavyweights in the survival genre is Valheim. Loved by many, this Norse-inspired fantasy survival game sees you exploring a procedurally generated world alone or with friends. It's gone through several big updates and a game that I've covered in depth on my channel, but this year is looking to be the full release, with the Deep North update being teased by the devs. It's a game I've spent hundreds of hours in, and one that I can't wait to return to soon. And aside from these fantasy worlds, there's nothing that gets my blood flowing more than surviving against undead hordes in a post-apocalyptic world. And one that I'm super eager to check out is God Bless Birmingham, where you'll be cast back into the 14th century and have to fend for yourself, searching out food and resources to secure your hovel. One false move could spell the end as you're ravaged by the hordes of the undead, and it looks beautiful. Now, if you are wanting something a little bit more current, then you can check out Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. This is set in 1980 and there's been a zombie outbreak. And this 2D zombie survival game will see you sneaking, scavenging and crafting your way through a relentless struggle for survival. You'll lead a band of survivors, but if you're not careful, you may come across fallen party members as reanimated corpses. The game is such a fresh approach to the zombie survival niche that it's well worth checking out, and it's already out now. State of Decay 3, on the other hand, is an online co-op survival game, or single player if you choose, where you can start a community, build, develop and expand your base. The choices that you'll make, though, will affect the world around you, and if you lose a member to the Horde, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. In a post-apocalyptic world, you'll have to balance the opportunities with the risks involved. Now, I loved State of Decay 2, and I'm very excited to see this develop. Now, originally it was planned for 2025, but it looks like they'll be releasing in early 2026. And speaking of early releases in 2026, one survival game that takes on nature will be Prologue, Go Wayback. This deserves a mention as it's something so different in the genre. Rather than worrying about creatures, zombies, or the harshness of space, you'll be tasked with journeying from one side of the map to another, all of which is set in a procedurally generated world. You're going to be exploring the world and surviving against nature, whether that's the changes in terrain or adverse weather conditions. This game is from the makers of PUBG and will be releasing in Q2 next year. And it's something that could shape up to be really interesting. So there you are, 13 survival games for 2025 and beyond. Let me know which of these you're most excited for, or if there's any that I missed that really interest you, put them in the comments below. Special thanks as always goes to all of our incredible Patreons, most notably our Lunar Eclipse Patrons, Firefless the Calamity, Ben, Star and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is King Zoron. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.